there's also a lot of good in this next album that we're going to be talking about. One of my most anticipated albums of the year, Future Palace have dropped their sophomore album, Run.
I'm so sad, Jake. I want you to know I'm sad. And it's because I love this album. And I'm not sad because I love this album. I'm sad because I love it and I've only heard it twice. And it pains me to even say
June
it.
syndrome.
It was the biggest example of June syndrome possible. And it made me so sad because I liked usually a lot of times the albums I'll go through and I'll listen to it and I'll go back and listen to it and I like the same songs. Or I'll like different songs and I'll space them out in my playlist. And there was just this chunk of Future Palace in my playlist. And I would listen like on my way to work and I'm like, well, I want some variation. And I did myself a disservice. Because let me state on the record that this album is fucking phenomenal. And there is so much to love here and so much good in terms of the lyricism, the instrumentation. Maria is a fucking goddess, bro. Her voice sounds so good on this album. It's unreal.
Level up in her vocals from Escape to this, even if, I'm going to say it now, I think this is a worse album than Escape, but I am way too invested in Escape at this point.
Yeah,
so
I was going to say
that's my problem.
That might be
my
the biggest example of personal bias we get all night, bro.
That is a me problem, no one else's problem. Her vocal transformation from Escape to this is astounding. Going from the heaviest thing that we got on Escape was Break Free, where she like kind of half screams one line. And then there's a song on this album called Flames. And it's just like, that's the same person.
Well, if we're talking about Flames, I gotta say my favorite line because it's literally me. It's like, I'm 24 and I don't seem to know shit about myself.
Oh, yeah.
I'm 24 and I don't seem to know shit about myself.
I've been feeling that line since 2018.
Are you 24?
No, I'm 22. 22 as of like 2 weeks ago, actually. Happy birthday, mate.
It always fucks me up that I'm the youngest one here. It don't sit right with me. I don't know. Anyway, sorry, continue. I let the intrusive thoughts win for a second there. That's my bad.
Yeah, that line in Flames feels like 5 years from now it could be cringe, but like in this moment in time, it's connecting with all of us. It's like, it doesn't have to be 24. It could be like, it's just a metaphor for like, I'm young and I feel like I have no sense of direction in life, you know? Yeah. And I feel like that it makes so much sense to have Flames as the third track in the album. One of my favorite line on the entire album, my favorite song, Paradise. It opens with, in the chorus of, the end of the chorus is, until I reach my future paradise. So it's setting up that idea of, like, will I make it to this dream version of myself that I envision? Like, am I going to be able to become the person I want to be? And that's kind of the story that I think this album is saying. It's like, it's kind of similar to Memphis May Fire and Abyss, watching me again, of just like pushing through the struggle. This feels like another album that you actually see the light at the end of the tunnel and the world doesn't always suck. Because with Fever, the closer, it's like, I got a fever, I'm so excited, shining like a diamond. So like it does bring that hopeful ending. And my actual favorite line on the album, in Paradise, is the breakdown of, will I finally find my happiness, recover from all that is past? You just take a moment to think about those lines. That shit hit a little too deep, I'm gonna be real. I feel like Paradise sets up this album so well as an opening track. And I said that Fever gives it that ending, but I'm not satisfied. Because I think back to Escape and the tears that I've shed to Break Free and My Air, and Loco Loco and Fever are not doing that for me. They're great songs, don't get me wrong.
But
I feel like
connection.
I feel like, for me personally, this album is missing a 13th track, and it needs to reciprocate the piano that Paradise started with.
Dude, I've been waiting for. This is kind of a little tangent, but it's kind of in a similar vein. I've been waiting for Motionless in White to release Eternally Yours 2.0 at the end of one of their albums, and it hasn't happened.
Yeah.
Similar vein.
Yeah.
But,
Mhm.
yeah.
And I think, again, that's probably a me problem, because I think most people will enjoy Run more than Escape, but Break Free and My Air do such a good job at closing that album out, especially Break Free. And Loco Loco and Fever just aren't, that level of emotion isn't there. Lyrically, you hear the lyrics and read the lyrics, and it is uplifting lyrics. It's showing you that light at the end of the tunnel, but sonically, I'm not emotionally as invested.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you there, because like I'm in that boat, right? Where I like Run a lot more. But I remember I got to Loco Loco, and I remember because I think you and Wusky had listened to it at this point. And we were discussing Loco Loco and how it was different. And I'm like, okay, this Loco Loco to me is the ex mortis of this album, where it fits.
Oh.
It's a little different. I love Ex Mortis. It's my favorite song off that Ice Nine Kills album. Loco Loco, unfortunately, is not my favorite off of Run. And then I get to Fever, and I hear it as a closer, and I'm like, okay,
it's fine, right?
It's better than some of the other closers I've heard this year. I think the problem is that this album is too good for Fever to be the closer.
Yeah, that's a really great way to put it, actually.
Like everything leading up to it, I have saved or like really enjoy. And then I get to Loco Loco, and it's like my least favorite song. It's not bad, it's just there.
Yeah.
And then Fever caps it off, and I'm like, you're right. It needs a 13th track. It needs some.
I need a deluxe edition
emotional
of this album more so than any other album I think I've ever heard, to be honest.
Well, that's like that Paris album that dropped in 2020. I remember whatever they added on to the end of it really felt like it completed Use Me more than the album did in itself. I need that. Like you said, we need that right now to give us the closer that we all deserve.
I need the follow-up to Break Free.
It's like how we got to the end of that Loveless album, and that Exile cover dropped, and the Exile cover was a better closer than the closer.
Yeah.
I need that. I need that equivalent here, because I'm okay with Fever being the closer. If this gets like some sort of deluxe album with a track that works even better as a closer, I think right now this is sitting comfortably in my top 10. I don't know if it'll make it by the end of the year. If we get something where the closer gets even better than Fever is, that's looking like a lock to me. This is a pun, but kind of not really. It kind of just reminded me. I think that Locked is the best song on this album, and it's not particularly close. That song is immaculate, I feel like, especially that chorus and the I'm so locked, I'm so locked. And I think it's interesting because I remember reading somewhere, I can't remember where, that Locked was actually Maria's least favorite album to record, or least favorite song on the album to record, because it was so difficult to record. And it's like, well, I just want to put it out there that, yeah, her dedication paid off, because I love that song.
Sounds like a Deception kind of deal with Mothership.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. No, well, Deception is like a top 5 Dance Gavin Dance song ever for me. So, yeah, I think it's exactly sitting right there.
Didn't Tillian have like trouble recording that high note?
Mm-hmm.
I think I remember him saying
No. Yeah. God, I don't know.
It's so hard for me to pick. Like, Paradise is so far ahead of everything else. I think similar to how Locked is so far ahead of everything else for you, Paradise is so far ahead of everything else on this album for me that it's kind of hard to, like, what's my second favorite song on this album? I could pick, like, 6 songs off of this album and comfortably say, yeah, that's my second favorite.
Yeah, we got one.
I could give it to A World in Tears. I could give it to Dead Inside or Locked. I could make an argument for Defeating Gravity.
I'm gonna present an idea to you of how I view this album. I've got Loco Loco and Fever in B tier. I've got one song in S tier, and everything else is just so solidly A tier. Would you agree with that?
That's kind of where I'm at, just different songs.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I guess there's so much to enjoy here in that this is the follow-up that I wanted. I liked Escape, and I saw a lot of potential in it, this is exactly what I wanted from this band, and it is so refreshing to see so many bands this month. I think especially Future Palace, and then two other bands that we're going to be talking about later that really feel like they overcame the sophomore slump, where there's this like expectation that your second album is just going to be okay, whereas we've got bands, you know, really, really expanding on their sound, and yeah, I really, really enjoyed this album a lot more than maybe I was expecting to. The singles were solid. I didn't know if I'd love the rest of the material on here, but I do. It's so good.
Love to hear it. Yeah, I don't know if I have too much more to say. There's a missing 13th track, and it's definitely an evolution from Escape. This is like really taking the next step up, even if I'm not as emotionally attached to this album as I am with Escape.
See, that's kind of like the Plot and You album. Oh god, what's it called? Swan Song.
Yeah.
Where Dispose is so emotional. Like, I'm so emotionally ingrained in Dispose.
Yep, that's the perfect comparison.
But they have improved their sound and developed it to incorporate elements from past projects like Dispose and earlier stuff as well, and to create a new sound.
Escape is my Dispose. It all makes sense now. A light bulb has gone off in my head. I'm gonna sleep tight tonight knowing that now.
Oh, I see what you did there.